As I slowly wait for Atelier Ryza to come out in less than a week, there has at least been plenty of JRPG news and gaming news in general to keep busy with over the past month. There's been a lot of details revealed about upcoming games even while I was making this, along with a game announcement and even some information about a new console, so there's definitely a few more things to look forward to after I finish that Ryza time that I'm so looking forward to. So with many things to talk about, let's waste no time and get right into this episode of JRPG Quick Takes. With Persona 5 Royal's release date of October 31st fast approaching in Japan, there's been plenty of information about it recently, with a few news highlights from its recent livestream and the final Morgana Sushin episode showing off some of its new features. The livestream ended up mostly being an introduction to the Persona series and Persona 5 for new fans, with a few mini classes done by Japanese Let's Players detailing different parts of the game and series. But as for new content, in the last hour they showed the updated prologue for Royal at the end, and while it is the start of the game, if you don't want to see that and want to keep it a surprise, which I completely understand, I'll put a time code on screen for when you should skip to avoid spoilers. The new prologue footage shows the original one we know with the casino setting and first battle, but now also has Kasumi playing into the start, with a very smooth change in events in the middle involving a wire swing and a new room, making a very natural transition into the first time she appears in the game. I love how naturally it ties in to be something new players won't notice, while giving those who play the original something new and exciting so early on. So this new prologue looks like a great introduction to both Kasumi as a character, and hopefully how smooth these new story events will slot into this Royal Edition. The rest of the stream showed a lot of Persona 5 collaboration events that are mostly in Japan. They did also show the beautiful Persona 5 Royal PS4s and controllers, with the latter being very tempting since I need a new controller to fix some drifting issues I have with my current ones, and I love the design on these and would love to have them in my home. The stream wasn't the only thing with new Royal details though, with more interesting news coming from the recent final episode of Morgana Sushin, which detailed a lot of the new features that will be added into the game that use the new in-game currency called P-Medals. The episode showed off one of the biggest features requiring P-Medals, which is a new feature called My Palace, which is basically your own customizable palace that you can decorate and run around in with whichever party member you like, along with there also apparently being some exclusive events there with confidant characters that can appear through cognition, making it seem like a relaxed hub area to play and see extra content in. The My Palace area will also feature a new mini-game to play with the Phantom Thieves called Daifugo, which is based off a real Japanese card game, and it seems like one of the ways you'll be able to obtain P-Medals as well. So I look forward to giving that a try, as Persona minigames are usually a lot of fun, especially if they involve playing against the Phantom Thieves. P-Medals can also be used with the new archive feature to pick up cutscenes and artworks in-game that will no doubt be a fun challenge to try and complete, and I hope it has a corresponding trophy. So this new currency is definitely usable in many aspects in this Royal version, and I look forward to playing with all the features it brings. The rest of Morgana Sushin revealed a few other Royal tidbits, such as the title of the song heard in the second promo video called I Believe that is sung by Persona 5's Lyn. They also revealed that in DLC we'll be able to face off against other Persona protagonists such as Yu and Mikoto in the new challenge mode that looks like they use very similar, if not the same HD models as the Persona Dance games. And speaking of that, we'll also be able to get outfits from Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight as DLC and Persona 5 Royal, along with ones from other Atlus titles. As for more Persona 5 news, there's supposed to be a pre-release stream scheduled for October 30th, hours before the game's official release in Japan on the 31st. But until then, all this info is keeping my excitement up for Persona 5 Royal, and I hope to play it on its Japanese release day. That's not the only Persona game with news though, as Persona 5 Scramble the Phantom Strikers finally revealed its first proper trailer a couple of days ago, with it showing off the action gameplay we'll be playing with in the game, along with the fact that there's a lot more to it than just action in this upcoming Persona title. Story-wise, Persona 5 Scramble is being described as a sequel of sorts and will be set half a year after the main events of the original game, when the cast meets up for summer vacation and gets caught up in a series of events, with the Phantom Thieves' next challenge spreading all throughout Japan Japan as they travel around to deal with what's happening. The actual conflict of the game is a bit of a mystery right now, with elements of digital-looking things in the trailer, along with some very cool monster designs, but in any case, the whole thing looks fantastic, with the areas you can run around in looking really big, its new character looking interesting in both design and gameplay, and the 60 frames per second action looking like it brings plenty of Persona 5 elements in, such as showtimes mixed with the Musou-style gameplay Koei Tecmo brings to the table. This trailer made this game go from one I was kinda lukewarm about to it being my most anticipated game for 2020 so far. So while it just got its Japanese release date of February 20th next year, I hope we hear more about if and when it will come to the West soon, and before that, I look forward to hearing more about the game in general. There's going to be a livestream on November 4th on Atlus's Japanese YouTube channel that I definitely plan to watch, so hopefully there's more to tell about it soon, but it definitely looks fantastic so far. As it seems to happen each Quick Takes video, right as I was finishing up the Lost one, some more Atelier Ryza news came out, revealing that we will indeed be getting the Summer Adventure costume for Ryza as DLC. The costume can be obtained for free as an early purchase bonus from its release date until November 12th, and is basically the jacketless version of Ryza's original outfit as seen on Japanese live streams. So if you're picking up the game at launch, be sure to grab this DLC for free while you can to get a nice costume alternative. Like Persona, this wasn't the only Atelier news recently though, with plenty of news about its DLC in general, with its deluxe edition now being available for pre-order, and the Japanese season pass being detailed recently that shows a lot of extra content that will be coming to Ryza soon. The digital deluxe edition is said to include 2 costume sets, including the Another Fashion set that shows color variations of characters' regular costumes, along with the Summer Style set, which seems to be a jacket-off version of a few characters' costumes, with some of these shown in the Lost Atelier livestream if you want to get a better look at them. Also in the digital deluxe edition are 2 different hideout parts that can be used to decorate the Atelier, and then on top of this is an initial dash item set that is said to give wind shoes to speed up movement and a bigger basket to carry more materials in, as some Atelier games tend to have. Finally, the game will also give what sounds like a generous 100,000 gems to help with rebuilding items, and looking at footage from live streams and seeing that certain rebuild functions can cost about 1,000 gems at a time, I'd say this is a pretty generous amount to give that will no doubt be helpful when trying to make better items to use in battle. As a final bonus, the digital deluxe edition sees Ryza get an additional costume that is basically her own version of Claudia's outfit that will include an extra event as well that has been previewed a little in live streams in the past. It is worth noting that the fine print states that this event will be free at some point, but the outfit is so beautiful it feels tempting to pick it up at launch as Ryza looks so nice in it. All these things together in the set plus the PlayStation theme on top comes at $71.99, which I think is a pretty good deal considering all the things you get in it. And in any case, I'm glad to see we'll be getting a lot of the Japanese DLC content that we've been seeing sneak peeks of over the last few months. On top of this digital edition and DLC, we might even see more DLC content eventually, as Japan has had Ryza's Season Pass revealed, along with its release schedule. The DLC will be released in 4 waves, and by the end of the 4th wave, the game will have available 2 BGM packs, 6 more weapons, 6 swimsuit costumes, 5 different story episodes, and an exclusive map available either within the pass or as separate paid DLC, with the exception of one of the BGM packs being a free download for everyone. There's various pricing ranging from 220 yen to 990 yen, and with everything together in the season pass going for 7,490 yen, which is roughly $69 US if you want to get everything. The pass and its content hasn't been announced for the West yet, but for some speculation if we do get it, the NELK pass was a similar price in Japan and is currently $54.99 on PSN. So I wonder if Ryza's pass would be a similar price in the West if we do end up getting it. As Koei Tecmo's season passes and DLC tends to be, it is a little on the expensive side, but I do like that everything's available individually as well, so you can at least pick and choose the content you'll actually use, especially since the pass and its Japanese forum doesn't seem to have any exclusive content that you can't buy separately, and is instead just slightly better value than buying everything piece by piece. Despite my feelings on the price, I of course want to pick this up to get as much Ryza as I can, but I also didn't end up playing the Lulua DLC yet because of time, so I'll probably leave it down to if I have time and whether we actually get all this content. I'm confident we will based on how things went for Lulua and Nelke, so hopefully we have more Ryza content to look forward to as we await its release in just a few days. To finish and put a cherry on top of this Atelier news segment, the Atelier Dusk Deluxe Trilogy release has been given a release date recently and will come out in the West on January 14th in 2020, which gets me excited to start the year with another Atelier, even if it releases very close to Tokyo Mirage Sessions Encore. Same as the Atelier Ireland trilogy that came out at the end of last year, the 3 games will be available either all together or individually. Pricing hasn't been announced yet, but for a bit more speculation, the prices for the Japanese versions, which appropriately release on Christmas Day, are the exact same as the Ireland trilogy at full price in Japan. So I wonder if we can expect similar prices for Dusk when it launches in the West as to what Ireland was when it launched in the West too. In any case, whether you're excited about Ryza, the Dusk trilogy, or everything like I am, there's certainly a lot coming for Atelier fans everywhere right now. So hopefully this excitement continues as we all get to play Ryza soon, and I look forward to playing and talking to you all about that game very soon. While we don't know when it's coming out next year in the West, Famitsu magazine in Japan has been getting a steady stream of Yakuza Like a Dragon news, with the news that caught my eye being the recent information detailing some of the game's different classes. The first class that caught my eye was the female character-only Idol class, which is said to be the Yakuza equivalent of a Dancer class from fantasy RPGs, since it'll use physical attacks along with song-based ones that can charm enemies. The next class I read about was the Fortune Teller one, which is said to be a mage class equivalent, with it having users hold a crystal ball and unleash the kind of magic attacks you'd expect like fire or electricity. The final class mentioned was the Riot Police one, which is said to be the equivalent to a knight class thanks to the heavy armor of real Riot Police acting as armor and protection and giving them high defense. All the classes sound interesting in their own way, and I love how much fantasy RPG inspiration seems to be in the game, and I'm sure Yakuza's more real-world premise will bring these things to life in a very unique and probably amusing way to watch. A final thing making these classes interesting is how they're unlocked, since there will apparently be a life experience system that will have categories that can be raised such as mentality, enthusiasm, and kindness that you can raise through quests and side activities. I like both the Persona feel of raising personality stats along with how it'll hopefully make Like a Dragon side content perhaps a little more essential compared to other Yakuza games where you can save most of the side content to the end. And since the side content is usually so fun and amusing, it will be great to have more of an excuse to play with it. The game sounds great so far, so I hope we get a Western release date for it soon, but in any case, I'm sure we'll hear more about it soon as its January Japanese release date slowly but surely approaches. A few quick takes ago, I touched on the speculation of whether the Encore version of Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE would be censored like its Wii U version originally was in the West, with its Japanese website at the time showing images from the original uncensored Japanese version, and the English website showing images from the censored English version. It's now being confirmed by Nintendo that Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE Encore will be created based on the Western version, meaning that not only will the West receive a censored version once again, which is a small bummer for some, but Japan will actually receive the censored version for the first time. It would appear the Japanese audience isn't too happy with this and is showing how they feel by picking up copies of the original Wii U version of Mirage Sessions, with it hitting #1 on the Wii U charts on Amazon Japan, and I honestly can't blame them for being a bit upset since not only are they getting their original version censored, but the way the websites were displayed definitely contributed to a lot of the confusion. Nintendo did at the very least issue an apology about the way things were displayed and being unclear, and will offer refunds to anyone who is unhappy with their pre-order purchase at a later date. The whole situation is honestly a bit of a mess, and it'll be interesting to see how the game does now in Japan going forward, and if this re-release will be received positively or negatively there, along with how it goes in terms of sales. I do hope this censorship situation doesn't dampen the re-release of what I still think is a fun-looking game that I want to play, so I hope it receives some sneak peeks, trailers, or something that will put a more positive light on it in the future. After a few hints here and there, the PlayStation 5 has officially been announced to be coming in the holiday season of 2020. According to detailed exclusive reports from Wired, some of the things I thought sounded interesting in the new console were that it's supposed to include ray tracing in its hardware to help add even more detail to visuals and affect some gameplay aspects such as how enemies react to players approaching them. It's also supposed to have better audio that will make gameplay more immersive, 8K support, a solid-state drive to make loading faster, supposed PS4 backwards compatibility since it uses a Blu-ray drive like the PS4 does, along with supporting digital content. It'll also have a newer and better controller that will feature adaptive triggers to make weapons feel more realistic with added resistance, making us be able to feel things like pulling a bow more realistically and have it feel different to, say, using a gun. The controller will also feature haptic technology like the Joy-Cons do instead of the DualShock 4's rumble function to create a more immersive feel when playing as well. All of this sounds really good so far, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this hardware upgrade looks and feels once it's in people's homes. In saying that, I don't plan on pre-ordering one or even picking one up when it's first out until there's a JRPG on it that I'm interested in, like I did with the Nintendo Switch when I was waiting on Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to come out, and made me love it much more compared to when I got my PS4 at launch and it mostly sat in my house for almost a year until Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth came out. I'm curious to see how JRPGs will use these features in the future, especially for weapons and whatnot. And hopefully we hear more about other features in the console and games we might see at launch sometime in the near future. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on the PS5 and the information that I'm sure will be teased with over the next year. There haven't been that many new IPs or anything announced recently, bar one thing I'm really excited to talk about, but there has been various JRPG news involving DLC, new trailers, merch, and more. So here are some various JRPG news and announcements that I thought were interesting enough to mention. Nippon Ichi Software have announced a new title coming next year in the form of a game called VIII tRrLM. VIII tRrLM will be a roguelike RPG directed by Masayuki Furuya, who has made other games with a similar feel for NIS before, including the Firefly Diary that I wanted to try in the past, so I'd love to try this one, especially since it's an RPG. Its story is based around a young girl called Toriko and her helper robot who live in a ruined world covered in fungi. The robot finds Toriko sleeping one day and concludes she's possibly contaminated since there's mushrooms growing on her, and decides to help her since she's so young and frail. Playing as the helper robot, the game follows the pair as the robot tries to create a terrarium where Toriko can survive in this destroyed world, and with a glowy yet dark-looking aesthetic, the premise and the interesting visual style makes it a game I'm very curious about. VIII tRrLM is due out on January 23rd in Japan with no word of a Western release yet, so hopefully we hear more about it either coming to the West or in general soon. Fire Emblem Three Houses expansion pass has been announced and detailed recently. Wave 1 and 2 are already out, with the first including a cute officer's uniform for Byleth, and Wave 2 adding in more auxiliary battles into the game along with some new items and costumes. Wave 3 will be out by the end of the year and promises additional quests and more costumes, which is good, but the more exciting expansion will hit before April 20th, 2020, with new story content promised and new playable characters and locations as well. And all this new content is on top of any free updates that may happen when these waves come out as well. There's definitely much more fun to be had in Fire Emblem Three Houses, and since I liked it and its story so much and still want to get back to it, I would love to try this extra content along with other routes as well. Fighting game Blazblue Cross Tag Battle is also getting an update on November 21st, which will add Persona 3's Elizabeth and Persona 4's Adachi into its roster of many fighters that already include a bunch of Arc System Works Persona characters from Persona 4 Arena. Arc System Works franchise Blazblue has a special place in my heart since it was one of the first games I played on my Vita, and I also had a lot of fun with Persona 4 Arena when it came out too. So to see Adachi and Elizabeth and many Persona fighters gain new life in Blazblue alongside other characters I like is pretty cool, and I hope I find time to play with them too, along with the JRPG characters featured in Smash as well, to play with these characters I like in a different way. Another game with a special place in my heart is Dragalia Lost, and if you're like me and loved the music and artwork from the game, you may also be pleased to hear that the game recently got an anniversary CD featuring many of the unreleased Dalco songs from the game, and there's been an art book released as well. These are things I absolutely have to pick pick up sometime, as many songs such as the raid track still get stuck in my head, and I love the general aesthetic of the game, so I want the book too. So I'm glad to see these things get released and hope fans of the game enjoy them as well. Speaking of JRPG music, soundtrack composer Sakujo has made the full Crystar soundtrack available for purchase via Bandcamp, and you can also stream everything before buying it, making a great way to listen to the amazing tracks from the game. This is again on my wish list of JRPG soundtracks I need from this year, and I'm glad it makes it easy for everyone all over the world to get these great tracks. So I hope people pick this up, and I look forward to getting it myself sometime too. Pre-orders have begun for the Baby Making Conception Plus on PSN, with benefits to pre-ordering including a 10% discount on the game and a nice looking PlayStation theme. The Steam version isn't up for pre-order yet, but will also be 10% off on its first week, along with including the digital soundtrack for free as well. The new trailer for the game shows off its game flow of making babies and taking them into dungeons well, and also shows off the Western censored version of its classmating, which still looks pretty suggestive in my opinion. So since I ultimately enjoyed the second one on Vita, while it comes out a little close to Ryza for my liking, I hope I can try this sometime too. Pokemon Sword and Shield has had a few announcements recently, with a new version of Ponyta in its Galarian form being the first Shield exclusive Pokemon to be announced, and it looks like a pretty pastel dream. Other fun looking versions of Pokemon have been revealed recently too, with the announcement of some Pokemon that have special Gigantamax forms, some of these including a slinky looking Meowth that is an early purchase bonus, the big Pikachu and Eevee you can get if you have Pokemon Let's Go data for their respective games, and other ones like Charizard and Butterfree have cool forms as well. All of these Gigantamax forms also come with their own powerful attacks that will no doubt be useful in battle, so I'm interested to give these new forms a try, and with Sword and Shield coming out next month, I hope to be finished with Ryza by the time it comes out to play another fun looking Pokemon game. A game releasing the same day as Atelier Ryza is Disgaea 4 Complete Plus, and for those wanting to give the game a try before release, there's a free demo out for the game now. This was one I was hoping to get into properly this month, but with so much out, it's unlikely that I will at some point. But for others deciding how to balance their time, a free demo is always a good thing to have to help you decide which you should dedicate your time to. So if you're split between this game and another, you can find the demo on PSN and the eShop and give it a try if you'd like. While it's not a hard hitter to finish with, the last thing I wanted to talk about was something that popped up on my YouTube recommended the other day, which was Square Enix's Inside Final Fantasy VIII Remastered video that ended up being surprisingly interesting. I thought it was going to talk about the remastering process, which would have been interesting in itself, but it actually ended up having people who worked on the game giving stories and anecdotes about that time, such as art director Yusuke Naura talking about his obsession with half see-through things that he ended up making an area in 8 based around. I was also pleasantly surprised that there are other Inside Final Fantasy videos up too, such as ones about 10, 9, and other titles that have been re-released recently. So that's a YouTube rabbit hole I definitely plan to jump into soon, and I hope they do these for more of the games whether they get re-released or not, as they're really interesting. Let me know in the comments if you end up giving these a watch and if you find them interesting too, and I look forward to watching and learning more about Final Fantasy soon. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what news you found interesting from Quick Takes this time around and how you feel about some of these announcements. You can like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. And quickly, special thank you to a subscriber Goriuk for providing some information about Tokyo Mirage sessions for this video. As always, feel free to leave a comment if there's something you want me to talk about next Quick Takes, or you can find me on social media, and if I find it interesting, I might include it in the next one. You can check out more videos here, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at JRPG Jungle. Sources will be in the description below, and until next time, thank you, bye!